So here we're going to go over how to solve an equation that has one x in it, just x's and numbers. Okay, this is called a linear equation with one unknown, meaning that we're going to be solving for x. Okay, so this will use the skills of combining like terms and of course solving for x. So we can kill two birds with one stone here and also go over combining like terms and also distributing numbers. So when you see a problem like this, you have to combine like terms. That is the first step. The first step is to combine like terms because, why? Because you got to get something like this. You got to get this equation, the one on top. See, I could probably put a little box around it. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. Wow. You want to get this equation, okay, isn't that cool? To look like this equation in the form, okay? So you got to you got to combine all those x's, you got to combine all those regular numbers like that. Okay, so what's the first thing you do? You have to combine like terms. But before you combine like terms, you have to distribute. You have to get rid of those parentheses. So this is the skill of distributing. Now remember, the skill of distributing, the skill of distributing it's helpful to think when you distribute numbers, when you get rid of the parentheses, you have to think of that analogy with making hot cocoa, right? And you have to add sugar and cinnamon. Okay, remember the x can represent the sugar and the 1 can represent the cinnamon, and if you want to make two of them, you got to give the person two. You have to have a total of like 2 cups of sugar and 2 cups of cinnamon, right? Because they say one cup of cocoa, 1 cup of cinnamon, whatever it is, it's a 1 and 1. If you're going to make a 2, you have to make a 2 and a 2. Here, let's say you need a cup of cinnamon and a cup of sugar and 7 cups of cinnamon. Then if you want to make 3 of them, you need a 3 and a 21, right? You got to distribute it. Okay? So that's why it's very important to do that. Now, if you see a problem like this and you want to distribute things, you may get intimidated by all this stuff going on, okay? So the first step here is to break this problem into smaller problems. In other words, cover up. See if we can cover things up. I'm not sure how to cover. Yeah, I guess we could cover things up this way, right? You cover things up and you make them, you hide them. Let's see. Just doing an A. How about this? Cover things up and we hide them. Whoa, we just blew away everything, okay? So, but this is what you do. You don't get intimidated by the thing. You look at the first thing. That's it. This is all you're doing. Ignore that other stuff because it's intimidating over there. And then you just do minus 2x times x, which is minus 2x, and then a minus 2. And then you move on to the other ones, okay? Now we're going to go back. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? Okay, good. So, the thing is, look at each thing by itself. Let's see if I can go back this way. Oh, good. Okay. So, the first thing you do is you just look at this guy. Minus 2x, minus 2, parentheses, x plus 1. Distribute it all out. Minus 2x, minus 2, parentheses, x plus 1, means you get a minus 2x. And the minus 2 times the 1 means you get a minus 2. No problem using a calculator. Anytime you have an x with no number in front of it, make it a 1, okay? So, we just did this one, okay? Now, it's time to move on to this one. If you see a positive sign, then you just write positive 3. Okay, this is positive 3 times 1x. We can put a 1 there. 1x. See that? That's a 1x. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times negative 7, use the calculator, is negative 21. Be sure you keep that negative there. 3 times negative 7 is negative 21. We did that. We're going to blow away that little 1, and we're going to blow away that. Okay? Now we're going to move on to the next one. Oh, minus 3x minus 7. Look, there are no parentheses. Nothing to do. Nothing to do. You just move this down. See, you just copy it. Same thing with the minus 7. No parentheses, just move it down. Be careful, don't make any mistakes. It's so easy to make mistakes. I don't know if you could see the erasures I make. See this thing over here? See how many mistakes I make? Over there, there's an erasure. I'll be embarrassed when you look and, hello, there was a mistake. Look, 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 look. See, obviously I made a mistake over here. See, there's an erasure there. So I made a mistake over there. Now, the next one, don't be intimidated by all the terms. Take one at a time. 2x plus 2 is 2x plus 4. 2 times 1x plus, and then 2 times 4. Don't rip the person off the cinnamon, right? This one requires 2 cups of cinnamon and 1 cup of cocoa. So if you're making 2 of them, it's 2 plus 4, right? 2x plus 4. Okay. The 3 just goes by itself, right? You just no parentheses there. That's an easy one, right? Oops. Okay, and now the 7x, you have a negative 7x plus 4. So it's negative 7 times 1x, which is negative 7x. I should put that here. I don't know if you see my cursor. See, it's negative 7x. See this negative 7x? See that? Negative 7? Negative 7x means that it's a negative 7x, right? And then see the negative 7 times positive 4. Put it in your calculator. Negative 7 times positive 4 is negative 28. You just write down the negative 28. There's no way to do this unless you physically practice these questions, okay? I mean, you could watch this video all you want. If you don't actually sit here and do a few examples, then it's not going to stick. But this is how you do these problems, okay? Now, so we've got rid of all the parentheses, okay? Now we have to combine like terms. Now remember, like terms, remember dogs and cat, you can't combine a dog and a cat, right? If you have a dog and a cat, then you have a dog and a cat, right? So you think of the x's as the dogs and the numbers without the x's as the cats, okay? Stuff x with the dog, stuff x with the cat. So now what you do is you combine all the dogs and the cats. Put the dogs and the cats together, make your life easy, okay? So let's see what we did. What we did is we put the 2x, oh, come on. We put the 2x and the 3x and the minus 3x together, okay, and we wrote them all here. See, we put all the x's next to each other. Isn't that nice? We put all the x's next to each other, okay? Now you stand here and you put the non-x's together, the negative 2, the negative 21, and the negative 7, okay? So we take those and we put all those together. Right? The negative 2, the negative 20. The hard part here, notice mistakes. See those mistakes I made? See that? The mistake I made right there? See? It's erased. I made a mistake there. It's so easy to make mistakes. You got to keep all these signs right. That's a negative 2, a negative 21, negative 7. But you have something going for you because you're so neat. This is where your neatness will shine. Okay? So you just slowly copy these things over. Negative 2, negative 21, negative 7. You know, when you move something over, feel free to cross it off. You know, no big deal. Let's say you write the negative 2 there. Put a little thingy there, you know, like a little light little thing. Like, you know, say, okay, I'm done with the negative 2. And I'm done with I moved the negative 21. Because it's so easy, you may forget which ones you moved and which ones you didn't. Okay, particularly if you have 2 negative 2s. That could be really confusing, right? You have a negative 2. If you have another negative 2, you won't remember what negative 2s you moved. So you can always cross them off as you move them down. But the important thing is that you neatly move everything down and you put the dogs and the cats together. So you do the same thing here. You have a 2 and a minus 7x. Okay, so that's those two, right? And then again, very neatly, and this is what you have going for you, you have the 4 plus the 3 and the minus 28. You just copy the signs exactly as you see them. Again, you have to practice this yourself with examples. All the examples that you had for homework are easier than this. They're all easier than this. I'm just giving you a really hard one so that we can cover a lot of stuff in one thing. But all the programs you have, all the problems you had, you didn't have so many terms. So all those other problems you have actually are going to be easier than this. Okay, anyway, so now we lined up all the dogs and the cats, right? And now we have to add them up carefully. This is where you use the calculator. Okay? So, in your calculator, you go negative 2 plus 3 minus 3. And that gives you a negative 2. Make sure you type that negative 2. And then you have these things, negative 2, negative 21, negative 7. So you go minus 2, minus 21, minus 7, and that gives you a minus 30. Got it? Okay, now you do this side. 2 minus 7, put it in the calculator, 2 minus 7 is negative 5. It's great that you have the calculator. And then you do this one, 4 plus 3 minus 28, put it in the calculator, 4 plus 3 minus 28 equals 21. Okay? So now we're done with the first step. Oh yeah, I'm sorry to say, it's the first of 3 steps. But this is the one like you're going to make most of the mistakes on. This is the one where you're combining like terms, okay, and you're distributing. So now you're done with step 1. Okay? So this is what you got. So now let's move on to the last 2 steps. Let's see what's going on here with this. Oh wow. Okay, great. Okay, so now we have this thing, right? Which is what we had on the other page. Step 2. Oh, come on. Okay, hold on 1 second. I will be right back. What? What's up? Hello, I'm sorry, but I recorded such a long video, and if I had to break it, I would have to redo the whole thing because I'm not an expert in video stuff. So, but I'll send you a text message telling you that there was a 5-minute break so that this won't be a surprise to you. Again, I'm sorry, really sorry about that, but I had to take that call. Okay, so. Okay, again, I'm really sorry about that, but I hopefully I warned you that you can go to the bathroom, actually, it's not a bad idea to take a break. I have to do step 1, considering sort of how crazy it is. Okay, so getting back to this, okay, great. So we have this thing where we have, on one side of the equation, we have dogs and cats. The other side of the equation, we have dogs and cats. Now, the next step, this is step 2. We have to move the dogs to one side and the cats to the other. We have to move all the stuff with the x's to one side of the equation, and we have to move all the stuff without x's to the other side of the equation. Okay? So now, how do we do that? So we look at the thing. Now, if we look at the thing, what we want to do is we want to do, like if we want to, like, move the here we go. If we want to move the 30 over to this side of the equation, it's not a big deal. What we do is we just add 30. We do the opposite of what this says. This says minus 30, right? So what we would do is we would add, that's an add, believe it or not, we would add 30 to this side of the equation. Now if we add 30 to this side of the equation, we add 30, we minus 30, we get a 0, which is what we want. And this is the critical thing, and I'm going to say it multiple times at the risk of being boring and ridiculously oversaying this. You add 30 to the other side. Okay, here we go. Whatever you do to one side of an equation, you have to do to the other side. Whatever you do to one side of an equation, you have to do to the other side. I'll say it one more time. Whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side. How about if we make it big and here, big and like ridiculous, okay? Whatever we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other side, okay? So if we add a 30 to this side of the equation to blow it away, we have to add a 30 to this side of the equation. And similarly, we have this negative 2x and a minus 5x. We have to get, if we're getting the 30 onto this side of the equation, the number, we're moving everything over to this side, the number is over to this side, then we have to move the x's over to this side, okay? So what we do there is we just add 5x here. See, this is a negative 5x. We do the opposite. They do the opposite of what you see. Negative 5x. We have to move it to this side. Okay, so we have to do the opposite of what this says to this side of the equation, right? We have to add 5x here because we're going to blow off the 5x. We got to get rid of that 5x. So they have something called the additive inverse, 5x. Sort of ridiculous there, right? You add a 5x to this side. What's negative 5x plus 5x? It's obviously 0x, so that's fine. 0x means nothing. But remember, whatever you do to this side of the equation, oh God, here we go, it's like a seesaw. Whatever we do on this side of the equation, we have to do on this side of the equation, okay? Okay, see that? We have to do it to this side of the equation. So, whatever we do to this side of the equation, we have to do this side, whatever we do to to this side of the equation, right? This side of the equation, we have to do then to this side of the equation, okay? So we added a 5x on this side, we have to add a 5x, we have to add a 5x to this side, okay? We have to add a 5x here, 5x. So it's very, very confusing, but I have it written down over here. Okay, so now there are different ways to write it. So I'm giving you two options because one may appear more comfortable to you than the other. So here we did the 5x first. We're getting rid of the dog. I guess the dogs have the term, right? So we're moving the dogs to one side and we're moving the cats to the other. So here we added a 5x on this side. We have to do the same thing on this side. Remember, whatever we do on this side, we have to do on this side. So we added a 5x here. We have to add a 5x here. And then you add the minus 5x, the plus 5x, you get 0x. And here you do the minus 2 plus 5, you get a 3x. Okay? So, this is one way to do it. It's like the vertical way of doing it. You could also do it horizontally. You may prefer to do it that way. Maybe you see it better, right? If you have a 5x here, a negative 5x here, you add a 5x here. If you add a 5x here, you must do it on the other side. You add a 5x there, right? And then you add the terms, negative 5x plus 5x is 0x, and 5x minus 2x over here, 5x minus 2x is 3x. The sort of the advantage of doing it this way is that this is the way you saw it for combining like terms. When you combine like terms in the first picture, you were doing everything in a line, right? You were doing everything in a line, right? You had doing everything in a line. Okay. So here, if you do it this way, you're still doing everything in a line, right? So your eyes, everybody's, you're sort of used to doing it in a line. Remember, whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to do on the other side. That is the most common mistake everybody makes. You can probably see I made it there with my erasures. Whatever you add to one side of the equation, you have to do to the other side, okay? And that's so, okay, so that's that. So then anyway, we're both left with a 3x minus 30 is minus 21. Now we got to move the 30 over to this side. So we have to see a minus 30. So you have to add a 30 to this side of the equation. And remember, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must do to the other side. Otherwise, you will, it's a disaster. Okay? And you add 30 to this side to blow away this 30. Add 30 here. And you're left with 3x. And then you do a minus 21 plus 30. Put it in your calculator. And you get a 9. Okay? Here, doing it vertically, it's the same thing. You physically add a positive 30 here. You have to do the same side to this side of the equation. You have to do the same thing to this side of the equation. and you do a 21 plus 30 there, you write it down, 21 plus 30, you add it up and calculate, you get a 9. Okay, so now we're done with the second step. The second step is to move. Remember what the second step is. Move the dogs to one side and the cats to the other. Okay? The dogs have the X term in case we forget. But it doesn't matter. You have to move the X stuff to one side and the not X stuff to the other side. So we have it done. Okay? Third step. Should have said third step. Oh, I can use text. Wow. Third step. Okay, third step. Third step is you have to finally solve for x. So let's just look at this side here. So you're left with 3x equals 9. You got to get the x alone. Now this is here you had to get the x stuff. Here you had to blow away the x stuff by adding and subtracting things, right? Here you're going to be you have to get the x alone. Now, how do you get the x alone? If you have a 3x and you want to get x alone, you divide this thing, you divide this thing by 3, okay? You divide it by 3, then that obviously, 3 divided by 3 is 1, okay? That's cool. But remember, whatever you do, here we go, I sound like a broken record, but it's like the most important thing in the world. Whatever you do on this side of the equation, you have to do on this side of the equation. I'm going to say it 2 more times. I know it's like completely ridiculous, but I'm going to say it 2 more times. Whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to do on the other side. Okay, one more time. Whatever you do on one side of the equation, you have to do on the other side. Okay, so you divide this side of the equation by, by 3. You have to divide this side of the equation by 3. And guess what? This x is by itself. This is like a 1x, so that's fine. Everyone's happy with the 1x. X just means it's x. And then in your calculator, or in your head, whatever you want, 9 divided by 3 is 3, and that is the answer. That is the answer. That simple little thing, x equals 3, is the answer to this absurdly, ridiculously crazy equation. Okay? Now, as a last step, sometimes it won't come out this easy. This was easy, right? 3x equals 9. That was an easy one, right? But you have to be prepared for all these special cases. It's possible that you will be the luckiest person in the world, and after you do all the stuff, you end up with x equals 4. Okay, and then you know x equals 4. But you may get stuck with the same thing we got with the 3x equals 9. So if you get stuck with something like this, 2x equals 8, you have to just get rid of the 2. You have to get the x by itself. You got look, I made a mistake there. So look at those mistakes. Incredible how many mistakes you make. Okay. In order to get rid of this 2, you have to divide both sides by 2. Remember, whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So if it's multiplied by 2, you have to divide both sides by 2. And then you have 2 divided by 8. Do it 8. See, I made the mistake. 8 divided by 2. And then put that in the calculator and get x equals 4. And you may have this situation. It comes up a lot. Where it's simply x over 2 equals 5. The x is divided by 2. You have to do the opposite of division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So, you multiply both sides. Remember, both sides by 2. See what I did? I multiplied both sides by 2. And that conveniently blows off. Oops, sorry to do this too. Hate to do that to you, but you're blown away. You get x equals and then 5 by 2. Either do it in your head or calculator. X equals 10. That's the answer. Now you can have the case where you have all these combined. You have the case of 3/4 x equals 12. Now what do you do? Well, okay, you look at it. Look, the x is multiplied by 3, right? So it means you're going to divide both sides by 3. So you put a 3 downstairs, you divide both sides by 3, like there and there, right? You're dividing, oh, I should use this. You divide both sides by 3, right? And now this is the x is getting divided by 4. See, x over 4. So in order to get rid of this 4 downstairs, you have to put a 4 upstairs, which means you now have to multiply. Yes, both sides by 4. Okay, so look what happens. Oh, I'm going to use a solid because I love to cross things out. It's so satisfying. You can get rid of those. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And now you just use your calculator. 12 times 4 is 48. You put the 3, right? It's just 3 because this is a, technically, this is a, I want to be technical about this. This is a 12 divided by 1. There's a 1 there, right? 12 is equal to 12 divided by 1. So it's just 12 times 4 is 48, 1 times 3 is 3. And then in your calculator, you type 48 divided by 3, and you get a 16. So so you may get stuck when you're doing your homework problems with one of these things, one of these 4 cases. Okay, so these will be, well, look, the use of the thing here. This is case 1, right? This is case 2. This is case 3. This is case 4. I know there's no other case, right? You're not going to see any other thing, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You're either going to be alone. You're going to be multiple. X is going to have a multiplication. X is going to be divided by something, or X is going to have both. God forbid, a multiplication and a divided by. In which case, you do the opposite, and that's how you solve these. That's how you solve this stuff. Okay. Again, I'm sorry for that break in the middle. When I send you the text message, I will tell you there was a break in the middle, so you'll know to go to the bathroom or take a break, take a walk in the middle, which wasn't a bad idea anyway, because good to break up this problem. And you can refer to this anytime you want on how to solve equations, or you can go to any section you want. You can go to the section for part 1, you can go to the section for part 2, you can go to the section for part 3 when you're not sure which way to go. Okay, it's been a pleasure, and I will be in touch. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.